Dan Canon is honest, loyal, and courageous. I think most parents carrying around mental images of the different stages of their children's lives. My images would include Dan climbing on a down tree limb being followed by a herd of baby goats. Or maybe him sitting on the floor of a laundromat reading to other children so they will all keep out of the way and out of trouble. Or maybe the image of him when he started to learn the guitar and the hours that he put in practicing to perfect the music. Or maybe the long hours that he put in when he was working a job and going to law school at the same time. Probably my most memorable image for him is his joy that he takes in his friends and his family. It's a constant image that I get to see every day. He is loyal. The friends that he has as best friends now were his best friends when he was 11. He fights, I think, for everybody. Part of that comes from being raised in a single-parent household, and it made him realize that everybody really wants the same things. We want safety for our children. We want health care. We want to be able to enjoy our life and be treated fairly. He's always fought for fairness and all people. Dan Canon is the man we need in Congress for us. He will represent Indiana the way we need to be represented. Thank you.
All right, see you later.
Hi. I'm not gonna lie, public speaking really makes me nervous, so bear with me. I'll have shaky voice, but you may have heard my best friend is running for Indiana's 9th District congressional seat. Our family is exceptionally excited, I must say. And I'd like to take just a brief moment to tell you a little bit about Dan, the parts of Dan that he probably will not share, because it's more of him as a human being, not as a politician. Dan is a really good man. I can say that. I spend a lot of time with him, and he is an exceptionally good man. And I see this in many ways. He interacts with our daughters in a way I can't even explain. I mean, he's just a glorious dad. He's always there for a friend in need. There's so many occasions since we've been together that a friend has called him up, in the middle of the night and said, "Hey, can you help me out?" And Dan, without blinking an eye, says, "Yeah, I got you." He's always striving to do the right thing by and for all people that he meets. And I mean all people. A complete stranger. I drag him to Oklahoma to go visit my folks, and he'll meet someone and he'll do his best to help them in any way that he can. Complete strangers. He's compassionate and passionate. He's loving, kind, and very strong. And I'm proud of the person that he is. And I have every confidence that he will be the best representative of the state he loves so very much. So, with that, please welcome Dan Canon.
My name is Erica Rucker. I live in the 9th District, the district that Dan Canon is running in, and I feel like he's an honest and modern candidate that I feel would take Indiana into the 21st century. I feel like he is someone who is intuitive and understands the problems of Indiana's families, and I look forward to seeing him as my congressman.
Hi, My name is Hannigan Roseberry, and yes, I am filming from a car. I'm a busy working mom, and I am out running errands right now, and I don't really have time to be helping out on a campaign, but you know what? I am doing it anyway, because I believe in Dan Canon and what he is all about. Indiana, 9th District, we need Dan Canon to represent us in Washington. Why do I support Dan's campaign? Well, let me count the ways. 1, Indiana, we deserve better. Period. 2, as a working mom and a high school teacher, I want someone representing us in Washington who cares about women's issues, who cares about women's health issues and health care all around. I want someone who is going to make decisions that help women to be on an equal playing field. I'm tired of decisions being made about my body by a group of men who don't care about the topic at hand beyond controlling. So, Dan is a dad to 2 strong young women, and he is a husband to another. Ladies, Dan Canon has got our backs. 3, health care. Dan believes in single-payer health care. We deserve this. It's common sense at this point. And finally, 4, Dan has spent his career fighting to give people a level playing field. Dan will fight for common sense policies that help to provide livable wages for families and paid parental leave. These things are common sense and we deserve them. Help me to fight forward together to get Dan Canon elected. We deserve the best, and we have a voice with him representing us in Washington.
Hi, my name is Leslie Reuter. I live in Jackson County, and there are so many good reasons to support Dan, but there are a few things that really stand out for me. First of all, the fact that he has experience having been a very successful civil rights attorney. He's even had some cases that have gained national recognition. And what that means to me is that he really knows how to argue, and he knows how to win an argument, and he knows how to communicate effectively. And those are very important skills in Washington, because I probably don't have to tell you that they argue quite a bit there. And having somebody with that experience arguing for me, I think is really important, and I think it's really great. And I also really like the fact that Dan doesn't just talk about the problems in our country and in our district. He talks in very concrete terms about solutions. And that's evident when you talk to him in person, when you look on his website. You know, he really has solutions that make sense. And the other thing is that he is such a good listener. You know, when you're talking to Dan, he really focuses in on you. It's like you're the only person in the room. And he really takes the time to listen. It's actually kind of funny at his parades and rallies that he's at. He'll take so much time actually listening and talking to people that he'll be lagging behind, and his staff will be like, "Come on, Dan, hurry up," because he's not just shaking hands and kissing babies. He's really taking the time to listen to people. So I think that combination of the experience he has, the solid plan that he has, and also his skills listening and really caring about people make him an awesome candidate. And I think we're really lucky to have him here in the 9th District. And so that's why I'm supporting him, and I hope you'll join me.
Hello, my name is Margaret McGovern. As a former mayor of Greenwood and a lifelong Democrat, I've met an awful lot of candidates. And every once in a while, one comes along who stands out among all the rest. And that candidate is Dan Canon. Dan comes from New Albany. He's been a trial attorney for several years, representing people from all walks of life. He is authentic as he can be. He's not a normal politician. And one thing that sets him apart is his ability to listen to people. The first time I met Dan was back in May at an event in Johnson County for Democrats. And Dan came, and instead of working the room like some candidates do, introducing themselves and talking about themselves and trying to get attention, Dan went around listening to people. He wanted to know what they thought about education, what they thought about what's going on in Washington, what they thought about health care. He's a different kind of candidate, and he will do an excellent job when he gets to Congress, and I believe he will. I support Dan Canon. I plan to vote for him in May in the primary, and God willing, he'll be on the ballot in November, and I will vote for him again, and I hope you will too.
Hi, my name is Cassie and I live in Washington County, Indiana. I was born and raised here. I left for a little bit to go to school up in Bloomington, and then I came back here to the country to raise my family. I'm a Hoosier girl through and through. I love basketball and IndyCar and corn, you know. And I think that's one of the big reasons why I'm supporting Dan Canon. I feel like he gets what it means to be a Hoosier. And that's something that I feel like has been really rare in our political representation in the past few years. Hoosiers respect each other, we're kind to each other, we take care of our neighbors regardless of political party or beliefs, and I think that's something that's really special about where we live. And I love that. I feel like I'm going to get that out of Dan when he's representing us. I feel like he's going to listen to what we have to say regardless of where we fall on the political spectrum. I feel like he's going to be respectful of our needs and try to uplift us. I find it really refreshing to have a candidate that I feel like gets what it means to be a Hoosier. It's something really special, and it's the reason I chose to move back to the country and raise my family here, because I feel like our kind of Hoosier values are really important, and I love that we now have a candidate who represents the awesomeness that it means to be a Hoosier.
Hi, my name is Missy. I am a resident of Floyd County. I've lived in Floyd County almost my entire life, only leaving for about 4 years to attend IU Bloomington. Go IU. I'd like to speak with you about Dan Canon and why I support him as a candidate for Congress, specifically from my perspective as a social worker. I've often spoken with Dan about an issue or a concern regarding a population who's often underserved. And he says, hey, have you called this person? Do you know this person? He knows the advocates in the community. What that also signals to me is that he knows the populations in the community that so often are invisible to many people. Those who are incredibly impoverished, those who have been dealt a bad hand and are doing the best that they can and the best that they know how. Often these groups are ignored by our representation in Congress. And I have such hope that we have a candidate in Dan that knows this population exists, knows their needs, is willing to listen to those of us who work with them, and may be able to make real change in the lives of the citizens of the 9th District. May be able to give opportunities and create opportunities that our families who need them, who need that support and that hand, don't often have. That's so hopeful. That gives me such hope. And I'm hopeful that we actually can make real change and real difference in the district, and in the state and in the country for these people. And that's why I am supporting Dan and why I hope that you get to know him better as a candidate. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Kayla Porter and I live in Harrison County, Indiana. I'm proud to tell you why I'm supporting Dan Canon for Indiana's 9th Congressional District. I love that Dan's campaign slogan is, "You have a voice." His career has been a testament to his desire to make sure that everyday people are fought for and that their voices are heard. In Washington, he wants to expand the middle class and make sure that we all have access to good health care. He believes in a livable wage, and he believes that everyone who wants to work should have the opportunity to do so. I'm a mom of 2 small boys who will soon be in school, and Dan supports public schools in Indiana and knows the value of public education. I believe voting for him is a vote for my boys' future. Basically, Dan's values are my values, and they're also the values of a lot of other Hoosiers that I know. We want a representative in Washington that we can be proud of, and we want a representative who's one of us, and that's Dan Canon. I hope you'll consider checking out his policies, and I also hope you'll consider giving him your support. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dawn Howard, and I am Dan's finance manager. I've known Dan for a few years in a few different capacities. What first drew me to him as a friend was his wicked humor and huge heart. What drew me to him as a mentor was his clear passion for everything he was doing in his job. Not just the big Supreme Court cases that people heard about, but the smaller things for smaller clients and what he brought to that. It did a lot for me and what I wanted to do in my career. And the thing that draws me to Dan as a candidate, as a person to be working for in this election, is his steadfast commitment to dignity and equality for absolutely everyone. He's a great friend, he's a great man, and he's going to be a great representative. I'm proud to be a part of it.
My name is Ashley Jacobs, and I have lived in Clark County, Indiana for 11 years. When I found out that Dan was running for Congress in my district, I was thrilled. I'd never been this excited about a candidate before. I had always admired his work as a civil rights attorney in Kentucky, and when I heard this news, I knew that he was exactly the person that we needed representing us in Washington. He has always made it his work to make sure that he went to bat for the little guy and that everyone had representation, no matter who we were or who we loved. We have been given an opportunity in Indiana to elect someone who understands the challenges and the difficulties that they may face in Washington, representing every single Hoosier in Indiana. And he is okay with taking on these responsibilities because he understands that the people of Indiana are worth it.
Jessica Albertson here, sending you this message from Orange County in support of Dan Canon. I 100% stand behind Dan and his platform as it aligns completely with my values and beliefs. I'm a mom and foster mom of 9 children, and I know that Dan will fight as hard as I will to make sure that the society that they live in is fair and just, and that he isn't for sale, and the cronyism that has plagued American politics no longer has a place at the table. I believe that he believes as much as I do that only when the sickest and poorest and overlooked and stigmatized among us is lifted up, only then and only then will America truly be great. And for those reasons, I am fighting forward with Dan Canon. Thanks.
My name is Mary Helen Ayers. I live in Monroe County with my husband, and I have a daughter named Sarah who's becoming a public school teacher. I'm a midwife. Over the last few months, I've been getting to know Dan Canon pretty well. I've gotten to know his family too. I've spent a lot of hours talking to Dan, and I'm excited at the thought of him representing in Congress because he's a high energy guy, and if he brings that same energy representing us that he's already brought to his work as a civil rights attorney, we're going to be in really good hands with our representation. He's got a plan for transitioning us to a healthcare system that's more in line with what's going on with the other industrialized nations of the world. And I love the idea that we're finally going to have a healthcare system that's accessible, affordable, and functional. We don't have it yet, but it's time. We also have a problem in the 9th District with jobs. We have a lot of people in the district who they're employed, but they're underemployed. I see this in my work too. I've got a lot of families where there are 2 adults and they're working 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs, and they're still worried. They're worried about making ends meet. And so we've got to bring wages up, and we've got to get to better jobs in the 9th District. Dan's got great ideas about that, and that excites me because that's an old problem, and we need some new solutions. My conversations with Dan have solidified my sense of what a strong moral center he has. I love it. He's so compassionate. He's compassionate by nature, and yet he's got an intelligence that's so fierce. It's ideas oriented, and it makes me encouraged right now about our future. He's also a product of small Indiana towns, these towns that I drive to for my job, and I love that. He knows this district. He knows what it needs. He's going to be great for us in Congress.
Supporting Dan Canon for Congress is easy. He and I see eye to eye on a lot of the same issues, specifically women's issues, equal pay in the workplace, reproductive rights, having the ability to have a say in what's going on in my own body is important to me. healthcare and universal healthcare for all is important to me and my family. I find that Dan is accessible. He's the kind of guy who's here. He's a Hoosier at heart. He's been around. His kids go to the same school as my kids, and it's really important to me to have someone in our community that gives us a voice. Someone where I feel that when he goes to the Congress that I am represented appropriately. Dan gives me a voice. He gives my family a voice. He gives the LGBTQ community a voice, and he gives women a voice. And he'll give you a voice too. I hope you consider him for Congress, just as I will.